Hi guys, and welcome back to AKA Mama. If you're new here, my name is Tafara, and for those of you that follow my channel, you will notice that last week I didn't upload a video, but I did give a heads up of what I'll be speaking about today, and that's going to be German Christmas traditions that are very important, especially for those parents of toddlers. So if you've recently moved to the country or you're planning on moving to Germany, I think it would be nice to know what the common Christmas traditions are, just so you inform your child about them, or you decide what you want to practice, what you don't want to practice, so your child is not a social misfit. Or they may ask you, oh, I heard this, I heard that, what does it mean? At least you have a vague idea, or whatever's of interest to you in this video, you can decide to further research on it, look it up, and find out what it's really about. So because of course there's a lot that happens around Christmas, I'm just gonna try and keep it short and crispy, but give enough information so you understand what it's about. The Christmas season in many European countries begins on the first Advent Sunday, and that's 4 Sundays before Christmas. Advent means arrival, so in a nutshell, waiting for the arrival of baby Jesus. And this year, that's going to be the 30th of November. And from what I've observed over the years, something that we didn't do in our home, I don't want to say in Zimbabwe because maybe there's Zimbabweans out there that were doing it and I didn't know, it's the Adventskranz. So this is very, very popular. Many households will prepare this. Basically, an Adventskranz is an Advent wreath. It's usually made of evergreen branches, so that's also sometimes a fun activity to go outside to the park somewhere, collect this to make this wreath with the kids, and then it has 4 candles. And for each Sunday leading up to Christmas, you light 1 candle. Depending on your family tradition, you may come together to light the candle. You may sing, you may say a prayer. So by the 4th Sunday, all the candles will be lit, and they symbolize hope, they symbolize peace, they symbolize joy and love. Beautiful tradition. I had never made one. I told myself that's like a mom task. So I made my first Advent wreath when my son was born, and it was too finicky for me. I absolutely love DIY stuff. I don't have the heart to buy a ready-made one because in general I love DIY. I don't know what I'm gonna do this year. I still got 2 weeks to figure that out. Another fun tradition is the Adventskalender, which is an Advent calendar. So this has 24 little windows, and it commonly either has chocolate or toys or a Bible verse. But one thing that I really like is when you also make a personalized one, with the numbers 1 to 24, and each day you open one, and this is like a countdown leading to Christmas. And it generally reminds us to slow down and savor the season. One thing that's also really, really big here, as a Christmas culture, is Plätzchen and Lebkuchen backen. So Plätzchen are cookies, Lebkuchen are the gingerbread men. It's absolutely not Adventszeit if there's no smell of cookies in the home. I love it because I see how many children absolutely love getting their hands messy, laughing, spending quality time as a family, doing something enjoyable. And often, they then put the Plätzchen in a cookie jar and everybody just enjoys them throughout the Christmas season. I don't have any single German friend that didn't, bake cookies or gingerbread men. Gingerbread men, not always. Some do, and of which they don't taste like the traditional gingerbread men. But the cookies are an absolute must-have for the Christmas season. Kids enjoy it, and if you really think about all the stuff that's in the supermarkets, right? There's so many cookies, so much candy, so many Christmas goodies. I think it's actually a good way to distract the children from always wanting to buy all the Christmas goodies that have been in the supermarkets since the end of August, beginning of September. So I like it because if you're in the supermarket and your child wants to get some Christmas goodies, you can be like, hey, but we bake really delicious cookies at home. And then, they're like, oh yeah, I want my own cookies. I like the Plätzchen culture. All right, and the next Christmas tradition I'm going to speak about, this is also an absolute must, because the kids are going to speak about it in daycare at school. And this is Sankt Nikolaus. It's on the 6th of December. When I first moved to this country, I knew absolutely nothing about it. And this is a tradition where kids put, their clean boots outside the door before they go to bed. And if they've been good, St. Nicolaus, which is St. Nicholas, will come over and put goodies in their boots. It's going to be either candy, it's going to be some sort of nuts or fruits, or, these days people also put toys or whatever it is the parents want to put, in those boots. But that is only for the good children. So, leading up to Christmas, people know they have to be, kids know they have to be on their best behavior, because they don't only want gifts from Father Christmas, they also want gifts from Saint Nicholas. And I found it interesting. I remember in 2007, I also had to put my boots outside the door, and the next day I had mascara and nail polish, which I found very cute. Of course, my guest mom is the one who got those gifts, but this was a completely new tradition to me. Depending on where you come from, you may not practice it in your home country. So the 6th of December, St. Nicolaus. And I was like, okay, this is St. Nicholas. Everybody associates St. Nicholas with, the US, but actually St. Nicholas was brought by the Dutch. So when Dutch immigrants moved to the US, that's when they brought their Sinterklaas. I'm not sure how to pronounce it properly in Dutch. They brought their tradition to the US, and that's the Saint Nicholas that's popularly known today. Now, the next one I'm going to be speaking about, this is actually the Christmas tradition, if one can call it that inspired me to do this episode. So 2 Sundays ago, I found out that there's somebody called Knecht Ruprecht, and I had never heard of Knecht Ruprecht. I've been in this country for almost 19 years. I would say I'm well integrated, and I know a lot of things, but I didn't know Knecht Ruprecht. I posted this on my status, and my friends that have been here in Germany just as long, they couldn't believe their eyes or their ears that I don't know Knecht Ruprecht. All right, so how did I find out about Knecht Ruprecht? My son's dad was explaining to him who Knecht Ruprecht is, and I only started paying attention when I noticed he was telling him, if you're naughty, See, I struggle with the word. If you're naughty, Knecht Ruprecht, may beat you up, or he may put you in a sack and beat you up. And I was thinking, okay, this sounds really dark. And then I asked, did you make this up, or is this a German thing? And he said, oh no, this is a German thing. So I sat there and I looked it up on the internet, because I had never heard of it before. And man, guys, I'm just gonna put the name up on the screen, because I can't go deeper into it, because there's actually a lot more to read about Knecht Ruprecht. I find it very dark. So, I spoke about St. Nicolaus. That's the one that brings the goodies and puts them in the boots of the kids that have been well behaved. But for those kids that have been naughty, they don't get anything from Nicolaus. And Nicolaus travels with Knecht Ruprecht. So, whilst the good kids get gifts, the naughty ones get a beating from Knecht Ruprecht. Kind of dark, but it helps parents during this Christmas season, to remind them to be good, and they have kind of like a trade-in. And I guess, kids love gifts. So sometimes it works when you just say, think of Knecht Ruprecht, they start behaving. My son was initially struggling with that name, and he was saying Mr. Brecht, but now he can even say the name better than me. I still have to stop and think to be able to say Knecht Ruprecht without snapping my tongue. An absolute must-do thing is going to the Christmas markets. These are really, really big in all big and small cities. And basically, they just have this Christmas spirit intensified. You have music, you have handmade crafts, various nuts are sold. They have Glühwein, which is very, very popular. They have delicious food. Traditionally, people go there as a family or as a group of friends or as a group of colleagues. And it's just an opportunity to come together with your loved ones and, have a good time together in the spirit of Christmas, and not specifically on Christmas Day. If you've ever visited one, you'll know that it's definitely magical visiting a Christmas market. The lights are absolutely beautiful. The atmosphere is amazing. everyone is in good spirits and they're somewhat very hopeful. One of the most popular Christmas markets in Germany historically is the one in Nuremberg. But in general, wherever you're going, you'll definitely find a Christmas market like close by. I mentioned this when I was speaking about the Christmas markets. Glühwein is an absolute must-have if you go to the Christmas markets, and this is the mulled wine. So they have both the alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So it comes in different variants. You can get it either, on a red wine basis or a white wine basis, and then they have variants for kids, and then they also have variants with extra shots. And often when the Christmas markets open, it's usually winter this side, so everybody is freezing and people just look forward to, cuddling up together, holding a glass of Glühwein, having a good chat together, and, just winding down to enjoy the end of the year. I think this point is very important to know if you're relocating here with your children. And this is something that surprised me when I moved to Germany. So with us in Zimbabwe, we celebrate Christmas on Christmas Day on the 25th. The 25th of December is when the main Christmas thing takes place. Whatever that looks like, coming together as a family, sharing of gifts and all of that. But in Germany, it's actually on Christmas Eve. So the 24th of December is the big and most significant Christmas Day for celebrations this side. So you'll find that, families get together on the 24th. They have the big thing on the 24th and they exchange presents on the 24th. Just good to know. Of course, you're at liberty to do it how you please for your family. But that was a difference that stood out for me when I moved to this country. And then one thing that also really surprised me was Christkind. So basically that's like Christkind, and this is an angelic figure that symbolizes Jesus, and they are the one that brings gifts. So, I traditionally knew Father Christmas to be the one that brings gifts and puts them under the tree, comes down the chimney, you name it. But here it's Christkind. So, that's a very interesting differentiation to make. But generally you can also decide how you want to do it in your home, of course, whether it's Christkind bringing the gifts or whether it's Father Christmas, that's called the Weihnachtsmann this side. But those are just a few interesting points I thought could be appropriate for toddler parents or, expat parents that are moving to Germany and they're not familiar with the German Christmas culture, but they want to get to know it better. I hope you enjoyed this video. And whilst I'm saying that, last week when I was in the city, I noticed that one of the, they've already started building and setting up the Christmas markets. So if the Christmas market I have in mind is already set up before I make the next video, that's what my video might be. Otherwise, I'll see you next week on a different topic. Thank you so much. If you know someone who'd be interested in this video, don't hesitate to share it with them. Like it if you enjoyed the comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.